What is going on, y'all? It's at your boy Apollos again. We're in for another call-in show for this Saturday. And I'm joined with Roy from Imago Logos. How are you doing, Roy?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm all right.
Gotcha. Yeah, and as usual, we'll probably just go over a video while we're waiting for random people to call in.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll quickly do an announcement on the server.
yeah, for sure.
All right.
But it seems as though a lot of people are watching the Inspiring Philosophy Discord debate. Which is probably gonna end in a couple minutes, as far as I can tell.
Is it still
Um,
going on? Do you know?
yeah, it's still going on.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, there's an Inspiring Philosophy Discord server, and they're hosting a debate on whether evolution is compatible with the scriptures. So, um, two Christians
Interesting.
debating, by the way. So, yeah, definitely interesting. And yeah, as usual, I have the StreamYard link pinned at the beginning of the stream. For anyone who wants to join in the call, have their objections about Christianity and stuff. So yeah, there's that. Let's see, where else can I share this link? You do not have permissions to send to this channel. From Apollos. Posted it there. Yeah, I'm just posting the link, guys, to other Discord servers I'm a part of. So hopefully that would get some attention. So videos. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, I posted it in all the Discords I'm a part of. Let's see here. General. Do you think that thumbnail was tough? Not sure what this guy's talking about. Thessalonians 5:26. Kiss your homies good night. Is that the one that says uh you know, like um give your brothers and sisters a holy kiss or something like that?
Do you want to do the video while we wait?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my most recent video. That one.
Gotcha. Okay, bad. Let's see. Imago Logos. Um all right. Theater mode. See, share screen. Chrome tab. All right. Share tab audio. All right. Let me know if you guys cannot hear this. This is a Christian Muslim dialogue. Does classical theism entail eternal creation? By Imago Logos. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Let me change the quality real quick.
What you're about to see is a discussion between me and Avicen on whether classical theism entails that creation is eternal. I said no and took the Thomist position, while Avicen, a Muslim, said yes. For context, this debate began because me and another Christian, Yaqub, were asked to debate with Muslims on the Trinity. Initially, I was expecting Yaqub to debate Avicen, but that discussion never really began, as Avicen said that Yaqub was being too disrespectful and thus refused to debate with Yaqub. So, since Avicen didn't want to debate with Yaqub, and I was the other person requested to debate, I decided to debate Avicen. But then Avicen said that he wanted to make the call a discussion about classical theism. This is despite the fact that we were called specifically to discuss the Trinity. Regardless, I accepted the offer, as there were already people waiting for the dialogue to begin in the call.
All right. Oh my goodness. All right. The effect does not follow with complete. The effect does not follow its complete cause with delay. Do you agree? Yes or no?
I'm gonna hold judgment so you read the whole thing out. That's why I usually ask you to get the whole.
Okay, cool. Okay, no problem. The effect does not follow its complete cause with delay. That's my major premise. My minor premise: God's eternal will is a complete cause of the creation. My conclusion is, therefore, the creation must not be delayed from God's eternal will. It must be eternal as well.
We probably reject premise one, saying that the effect happens posterior to the cause.
Great. Okay, so that is the principle of causal necessity. An effect necessarily follows from its complete cause without delay. You said that there is a delay that happened. Okay, I want to know what is the delay that happened here, and what is the reason behind the delay that happened here.
Like, what's the?
Do you want to pause it here,
epistemically, or are you asking metaphysically?
So his
for
question
sure.
was kind of an odd one with
Yeah.
Huh?
He's like saying, like, as far as I understand it, because he's talking too fast, like this guy said, that if you have an eternal cause, you must have an eternal effect or something like that.
Like, it seems to imply that the way he's using delay is that if there's no delay, then they have to have the same, like, origins. Like, so if there's no delay between X and Y, then X and Y must have the same, like, temporal properties. You get what I mean? Like, he's trying to just... If there's no delay between X and Y, then X and Y have the same temporal properties.
I don't know how he logically entails that. But
yeah, so his entire argument assumes that, right? And so using that definition, you could just point out that what's it called? There is a delay only insofar as one has temporal properties while the other doesn't. But then he seems to move to a different definition where, in the second part of the debate at least, where he says that having a delay implies that both objects have temporal properties. They just differ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
so yeah, it's kind of a yeah.
Did we want to continue?
Yeah, sure.
All right, bet.
Yeah, he's a...
No, I'm asking metaphysically, what is the delay here? Yeah.
I mean, why do I have to give a metaphysical reason behind it? As long as I can just deny that premise, the argument doesn't follow.
Oh yeah, but why are you denying the premise?
It's your premise. It's your burden to prove it. I don't have a burden to prove
that's a funny
way to prove it. Everywhere in this world right now, when we see everything, every single place in this world, if I slap this window right now, it breaks instantly. If I punch it instantly, it breaks. The cause happens, the effect happens. The cause is my punch, the amount of punch that I have, the bullet, whatever. The instant effect happens. I have never seen a delay in any effect that happens in this world. And if I grant you a delay in the effect that happens in this world, there needs to be an explanation, and that is the PSR that I'm looking for.
So is your argument basically inductive? Is your argument inductive?
It's actually a deductive argument.
Well, no, because your argument for premise one seems to...
That is so funny.
You know, he uses the example where, like, you slap the window and, like, the effect happens right after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it just for like 2 seconds, though, it takes time for the sound waves to hit your ear. So there's time between you hearing the sound, which is the effect, and you slapping, which is the cause.
Yeah, for sure. Like, did this guy like take a physics class or something? Like, he obviously doesn't seem to understand like special relativity and stuff like that. But anywho,
what are your thoughts on the zombies background footage, by the way?
Hi, Baron. This guy's from the MythVision Discord, as far as I know. I think I've interacted with him before. I might not have.
Nice.
I might just be misremembering. But yeah, I think the zombies background is pretty cool. It's pretty lit.
Yeah.
To be inductive, right?
That's my premise one.
Also, Baron, the StreamYard link is pinned to the YouTube comment section. So if you want to hop in, You're more than welcome.
You know, one thing I didn't understand is how he didn't know that the proof that he was giving, well, not really proof, the argument he was giving was inductive for premise one, because he's saying that, yeah, everything else in the world acts like this, so therefore we can reason from these particulars to this general rule. That's like a textbook case of induction, you feel me?
Yeah. Well, I guess like he's like deductively concluding like from his premise like after his induction.
Yeah, but that's still obviously going
Yeah,
to
it
be like
still
a
utilizes
probabilistic thing.
induction. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Feel me?
Yeah.
That there's no delay between cause and effect. That's basically what you said, right?
Yes.
Okay, so your argument for there being no delay is that it's an inductive proof, right? It's not deductive.
You think it's an
You know what I
inductive
mean?
proof? No problem. I got you. I'll grant you anything you want. Show me one thing in
Okay.
this universe right now that has a cause where the effect is delayed without an explanation. Go ahead.
Without an
I mean, didn't his
explanation? Do you mean
example
like
show
one
that?
that's known, or
Was that you
Didn't I
talking in the
mean?
background?
Obviously here, like the argument goes into like the epistemology of it. Like, honestly, you don't even have to provide an example because you can just say that on the basis of divine revelation, that like that's going to triumph any inductive proof because that's going to be a stronger authority. It's kind of be like if you make an inductive proof that everyone I know has two legs, but
Or,
then
like,
like if you meet like
Yeah.
someone who says, "Oh, my grandpa is a war veteran. He has his leg amputated." Even that testimony is going to triumph that inductive evidence. So inductive evidence isn't that hard to triumph with testimony. So if you have divine revelation, then that's very easy to triumph over it.
Yeah, for sure. And like this naive, like sort of like enumerative induction can be used to basically say that the universe was like eternally, like, existed eternally from the past, which doesn't necessitate a god. And I'm imagining like he as a Muslim would.
Yeah, even
say
without
that.
the classical theism reasoning, the argument that like, oh, if you have classical theism, then what's it called? Then you have an eternal creation. If you just use induction without classical theism, you can probably arrive to a eternal universe. You can say, oh, well, everything we see has a cause. Therefore, you can take this back ad infinitum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
or one that's just not there? Because I can say there's an explanation, but it's just not known.
Give me the example.
I told you I can. You don't have to give a concrete example.
Holding to appeal. Yeah, holding. Yeah, it's possible. Wait, what? So if I did this right
I
now,
don't have to give a concrete example to prove something.
Wait, hold on. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Wait, hold on. Did you hear that? Listen to me. Did you hear that?
Yeah, once again, this is just an inductive
There's actually
proof.
a
The issue
delay.
is I don't have to
Okay,
give a concrete example to show something is possible.
Okay, but I see an
So, for
inconsistency
example,
here.
I can say that on the basis of divine revelation, I'll just reject the premise and say that, there's a delay between the cause and effect.
Yeah, what is the reason behind the delay?
Once
When
again,
God's
if you're
eternal
asking,
will. Have you heard premise 2? Have you heard premise 2 or no?
yes, that God creates the
What's
world,
premise 2?
right? That's basically what you're trying to say.
No, God's eternal will.
Hold on.
When did God
Pause
will to
there.
create the universe?
Pause there. So he's trying to differentiate between God willing to create the world and God creating the world. But like under Thomism, the act of God creating the world is going to be identical to his essence. So it's kind of like a weird thing to distinguish the two,
Yeah, for sure.
When? You're a little unclear. Yeah, God, what's it called? Wills before creation, but the effect of that will is posterior to it.
Wait. Before creation, when? Are you talking about before creation exactly or eternally?
Yeah, eternally, but the effect is posterior.
Okay. The effect is what?
The effect is posterior. The effect is temporal.
The time exists or no? Okay, hello. Does time exist or no at that point?
That's kind of a nonsensical question if you're saying that time exists at that point, because if you're saying there's a point in time,
right?
Then,
that's time, right? Yeah, that's time. Okay, great. So do you hold time being created?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, wait. So time was created, but there happened a delay between eternity and a certain point. How?
Is there are you saying there's a contradiction between the two?
I mean,
because what I said
say that there is a delay, that means it entitles time. When was time created?
What I said was that the effect is temporal, but
my brother,
eternal,
you will not get out of this. I'm telling you, this is the point that I want you to get to.
It's
great that you said time. When did time?
Well, actually, I think this gets explained later, but it specifically is said that the only sense in which there's a delay is like that the cause has no temporal properties signifying origin, whereas the effect has temporal properties. So we would say it's a delay in that sense. And I think that's fair to say it's a delay because if you go to his original argument, that's kind of the way he's using delay. He's saying that there's a delay if like one originates at time t, and then like the cause doesn't cause at time t. So if you don't have that, then there's a delay, which seems to be the definition he was using originally.
Yeah, a little bit of a sleight of hand.
When was time created?
At the beginning, I guess. I don't know. Like,
Okay,
where are
at
you
the
trying to
beginning.
go with that?
What's the beginning?
Like when or what? What are you trying to ask with that?
What
'Cause
is the beginning? What do you mean by the beginning? For example, eternity, God eternally willed the universe to be created at a certain point. You agree, right?
Well, no, I said that at a certain point implies temporality. So I'm trying to get you to
Great.
clarify that.
Okay, so when was the universe created?
At T0, at time
It's
0.
a
So
very
yeah, at the beginning.
odd
Okay,
question.
great.
Like,
At
well,
time
if you
zero.
want to
What?
pause it there, like, what is meant to be answered? Like, are you supposed to say 6,000 years ago, 14 billion years ago, or like T0?
Yeah, for sure. And I liked how you like just sidestepped that whole.
Yeah, there's not really a reason per se to like there's so many ways you could answer that. It's kind of an odd question to ask, you know.
Yeah. Good job on sidestepping that and just keeping it like with relative to like the beginning of the universe. So like T0. So yeah.
Yeah, just say T0. There's not like I don't even see the like relevance of that question. If I said 14.8 billion years ago, how would he have responded? Like,
Yeah.
oh well.
Evolution's not real because of the Quran.
True.
Yeah.
What was before time? Nothing, right?
God.
Okay, great. So God eternally wills for the universe to be created at a certain point.
Yeah, and
Time
the
was
Yeah,
universe.
that's
not
pretty
Okay.
funny.
created.
Hold on.
Let me
Pause it
speak. Let me
there.
speak. Let me speak.
Did
Let
he
me speak. Calm down.
did he just become an atheist with that by saying nothing existed before time?
Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely be the implication. So yeah.
I feel like that's a very atheist thing to say, you know.
Right.
Okay.
God wills for the universe to be created at a certain point. You said at time 0. Okay, great. There is a delay. How is there a delay when time wasn't created? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I would just say that the universe is created at t=0, right? In order for the universe to be uncreated, you would have to say that there's no t=0, and rather it just goes on for infinity, right? So that's how we would say it's remains created and temporal. So that's how we would account for the delay. So the
I'm glad
effect
I'm glad
is
I'm recording this. I'm glad I'm actually recording this. You know that when you say that there's a delay that entitles a time, you know that, right?
yeah, I get
How
what
can
you're
there be delay
arguing.
without a time, brother?
You know, that's crazy how he cut
I
me
just
out when he was
explained
like
that.
when
I
I was
just
trying
told
to
you.
answer it.
Yeah.
Like what's it called? I was going like I was trying to answer it right, and then he just cut me out, which is pretty funny. If you're
The
talking, I
effect
can't
is
hear you, by the
something
way.
What's that?
Oh, okay. Your mic was like muted, basically. I could not hear you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
inside time, meaning that the universe
Time.
exists from t0. However, the
Okay.
willing of it is not in
Okay.
any temporal
So
location.
there is a delay, right?
Yeah, in the sense I just outlined.
Can there be a delay without time?
No, and we're specifically
Okay,
talking
so
about in the
time
sense I just
existed
outlined.
before the universe. Okay, so time existed eternally because there's a delay.
No, you didn't understand what I said. I'm saying that the willing itself is not in a location in time, but the effect of that willing is going to be at
Okay.
t0.
What
So
is
time,
what is the absolute? Sorry, what is the complete cause for the creation?
God.
Okay, God's will.
Yeah, God.
God's will or God?
I mean, they're the same in
What kind
Thomism,
of
so I don't
such
see the issue
an
with that.
odd question though? Again.
Yeah, like isn't this guy supposed to be like a Tawhidist? So
yeah.
like there have been
Like,
controversies about.
I mean, even if you want to
Allah's
distinguish, like
attributes, just saying.
obviously we don't like we don't differentiate between God and God's will in Thomism, right? But even if
Yeah.
you do, right? So even if you want to say that the will is distinct from the person or from the essence, right? How would that matter here? Because even if they're distinct, you would still say that if a person's will causes something, you can just attribute that effect to that person. It's like if you can say, it's in my will to move this water, and my will is the cause of this water bottle being moved. You can just say, Roy, move that water, and that's like, what's that called? Sufficient. Like if someone wills something to occur, then you can just say that person caused that thing, as long as their will is actualized.
Yeah. Like the person is almost or the will is subsumed by the person, pretty much, in terms of like categorical, like classifications. So yeah.
Because God is identical
Okay,
to his
great.
will.
Okay, so if there is a delay, sorry, if the will is eternal, therefore you've said that there is a delay. I've granted you that there is a delay. No problem. I know there is a delay in your belief, but
Yeah, but
I'm
did
saying,
you?
wait,
But
hold
do you
on.
know what I
Can I
mean
speak?
when I say
All
there's
right,
a
you can go
delay
ahead,
there?
finish speaking, and let me speak after. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, but when we say there's a delay, what I specifically mean by that is that the will itself is not located at some temporal location. So it's not like at T1 or T2 or something like that. However, the universe itself or time itself begins to occur at T0. So God wills something, and this willing is not at T0. However, the effect of that willing is at T0. So time is created at T0, basically.
Okay, time is created at 2-0. Here in
Boom. I think you
Ye-
pretty much like captured the whole argument with that statement. So
Yeah, because that's a very that's a very specific sense of delay that I'm using, and that seems to be in line with the sense that he was using at the beginning.
Is this part of a larger debate by any chance?
There's a lot of context to this.
Oh, okay.
Um, I wonder if I should reveal it on here. I can forward it to you in DMs, and you can choose whether or not you want to read it out. Hold on.
Okay,
Let me
bet.
go DM it you it.
Yeah. Let's finish up this video before we do that. But yeah. Go ahead and DM that to me. Oh, it looks like we got a caller in. Jay.
Oh, it's Jay. Jay's. I think Jay should be fine with us reviewing this quickly
Hey,
before we
Yeah, this is one of my friends
Yeah,
I know in
Jay.
real life.
you.
Yeah, I think
Hey, how's it going, man?
What's up, man? I don't know. I mean, I guess I have a question, but to be honest, I kind of want to review this. So I want to feel a little bit smart. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna sit back here and review this with y'all.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
No worries.
sure.
Is the word delay a suboptimal choice? Does God eternally will creation and at T0 creates?
So the
Which is a
reason why I
different thing.
use delay has to do with the fact that he asked for an account of how we can have a delay, and in his original argument, he goes from the assumption that there is no delay to therefore God's willing and the effect of God's willing have the same temporal properties. So that seems to imply that a delay just is a difference in those relevant temporal properties. So if the will does not occur at T0, whereas the effect occurs at T0, then there's a delay. And that seems to be what his semantics implies, given the argument he's making. And even the question he makes, implies that basically, because the question is basically, what account can you give of delay that explains this? From what I can tell, everyone in the chat was also tracking this. The claim that there's a delay only in this specific sense. So maybe you can say that it's not like how we'd always use the word delay, but I think it's valid and justified in the context of this discussion. Like I think even you Sean, you would understand since you seem to be tracking the argument I'm making, right?
Yeah, and then we'll wait for his response.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jay. I know you in real life. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have anything you wanted me to share, like in terms of like your social media and stuff like that, or if you wanted to just remain
Oh
anonymous.
nah. I mean, I'm just here. I don't even need none of that. It's all good, dude. Anything to keep
Okay.
the channel up.
Gotcha. Cool.
For sure.
The two events have different temporal properties.
Yeah, so what we would say is that God's willing does not occur at T0. So it doesn't have a temporal property because God's will has no temporal properties at all, meaning it's not in time. So whereas the effect would have that, meaning that it is in time. And so only insofar as we're saying that there's a negation on one end and an affirmation on the other end that there's a delay.
All right, bet. All right, we'll continue on with the rest of this video.
That's the time. He already measured the time. The brother here, the smart brother, measured the time for the existence of time without time being existence. So he said the time was. Excuse me. You want to go ahead again and speak, and I can speak? Okay, thank you.
No, you
All
can
right.
speak. It's
Now,
fine.
I'm gonna bring you an evidence right now from Thomas. He said you're holding the Thomistic view, right? Let's see what my man Thomas, the saint, said here about this conversation. Hold on.
Thomas
There's something that you guys are trying to run away from. Even I can even quote other classical theists that even run away from this topic because they couldn't answer it because it's actually unanswerable.
Hold
They
on,
didn't
you
even
want to
hold the faith
pause it
alone.
there?
But then, since you guys
You know what's crazy is that he said that he wouldn't debate Yakub because Yakub disrespects people, but then he goes out and pulls this, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to like a Shia about this, right? He says that you're too disrespectful, I don't want to talk to you is like a common tactic to get out of a debate. Which I don't know for sure since I don't know this person, but according to the Shia, that's what happens.
Yeah, modern atheism. We are taking in calls today. We just have like reviews like in the meantime while we're waiting for callers. So yeah, feel free to hop on. But yeah, while we're waiting for him, I guess we'll continue this.
Don't read your books, right? I'll give you something right here, and whether it is
Okay,
an
hold on,
article.
hold on. No. You're not going to say that Yakub can't
Can I
debate
speak?
you because he's
Can I
insulting,
speak?
but then
Can I
come
speak?
here and say we
I did
don't
not
read our
insult you. I did
books.
not insult you. I did not insult you.
No,
Okay.
I'm saying
Did
that
you
we
read?
don't read our
Did
books
you
is in
read?
fact
Did you read?
insulting. I'm
Okay.
not going to
Did you read the Summa? Did you
The-
read the Summa, whatever it is?
Well,
Did you read the
pause it
Summa?
there. The equivocation.
Goodness.
The equivocation is crazy. He went from you guys don't read your books and you're scared to running to you haven't read the Summa fully. Those are two very different things.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would. I don't think like there's that many people out there who have read the Summa fully. It's not one of those books where you can just like pick up and like churn through it. You know, you feel me?
Mm-hmm. And the
Yeah, let
Summa
me,
being the handbook for Catholicism. Am I correct or?
No, it's St. Thomas Aquinas is like I guess you could say magnum opus in a sense. This is his most popular work, and he just goes over various topics in theology and philosophy and gives it's formatted where he gives a topic and a question. He gives an objection to his stance, then he gives his stance, and then responses to the objections.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very, very long book, and you have to understand that obviously it's written in medieval Latin and it has to be translated over, but also even the concepts used. I guess you could say they need translation because this is a medieval metaphysical paradigm, right?
Yeah.
And we're working with a contemporary 21st century paradigm and semantics. So trying to just read it all in one go is not going to end well, which is why usually it's useful to have like a commentary and to go through it slowly, which is why I don't think there's that many people that have actually read it. I know this guy hasn't because he kind of just misquoted Thomas Aquinas completely.
Gotcha. Young Christian said he
Yeah,
can't make
and
it
we'll
today.
see that.
Reb.
We'll see that.
But yeah, man, thanks for supporting us last stream. So
Let me go ahead and what's it called? I'm gonna leave real quick and then come back. I'm gonna mess around my camera on this. One
Okay,
moment.
bad. No worries. And then I'll continue it.
entirely no, and I never claimed
Okay,
to.
great.
That doesn't
Okay,
mean we
so
don't
I
read our
claim
books.
again, my claim still stands that you haven't read the Summa. Okay, whether it is an
No,
article
what you
of
said
faith
is
that
you
the world
didn't
began.
read your books. Books
Are you
is
gonna let me speak or
plural,
no?
and yes,
Are
we
you gonna let me
have read
speak or no?
Thomistic.
All right, it looks like modern atheism joined in.
Sure.
What's up, modern?
Do you want to let us finish the review before we talk, or do you just want to talk right now?
We can talk right now.
Hi.
Unless you have like really quick thoughts that you wanted to wrap up regarding the thing you had with Avicen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it just depends on what modern atheism wants to do.
Okay, gotcha. What are you feeling, modern? Do
Good,
think
and
you have
you?
time to like? Do you think you have like 5 minutes until we can start with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
sounds good.
Yeah, just stay in the studio. We'll just like review this. You can add your comments on this debate if you want, although I don't think you do like philosophy stuff though. All right. I know that guy in the chat. That's
Sriracha.
Armenian pilgrim from the server. He's doing a bit too much trolling.
Gotcha.
Do you know about the blessed be the assumed man rage bait?
No.
It's a Nestorian thing that people started doing to like rage bait people.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, continue with this.
Literature.
I'm
on
in the
here.
Soma. I'm in the Soma here. I'm in the Soma here.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So if the Soma. Okay. So I still stand. I wasn't disrespectful. I did really mean that you did not read the Soma, and you haven't.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Whether it is. All right. Be quiet. Whether it is in an article of faith that the world began. Right. If you read what Thomas Aquinas says. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Give me a second. All right. Whether it is an article of faith that the world began. Right. Now, if you can read the objections in this. Right. Let's hear what my man Thomas Aquinas says. Right. You're claiming that you solved this. Right? Let me speak. No. Excuse me, please. Excuse me. Let me speak. Yeah, I'll post the link. Don't worry, bro. I got you. I'll post the link. Okay. Right. So my man. I'll post the link, bro. I will post the link. If the link is the lie, no problem. You can call me on this. You can call me on a if it's a fabricated book or whatever. All right. So here, my man says what? I answered that by faith alone that we do hold. Sorry, I answered that by faith alone do we hold, and by no demonstration it can be proved that the world did not always exist as was said above of the mystery of the Trinity. The reason of this is that the newness of the world cannot be demonstrated on the part of the world itself. You know, you're trying to answer something,
Yeah,
and
hold
you're trying
on.
to solve
Do
it,
you want to pause
but
it
then you're
there?
missing out the.
Yeah, so this guy just misreads Thomas Aquinas because Thomas Aquinas is just saying you can't prove that creation is temporal, but that's different from proving that an argument against eternal creation is false. Like proving something is true and proving something is false and proving something has no good arguments against it. Those are three different things.
Yeah. No one interrupts. Excuse me. No one interrupts. Excuse me.
I think that's because people in the chat were
Thanks.
asking it.
Yeah, it sounds like this
and there was
in context of
yeah.
like a chat, like being.
Yeah, this has some context with it.
Gotcha. All right, we'll continue.
The whole point, my dear brother.
That's not what Thomas means, though. Hold on. When he says that you can't prove it, he means that you can't prove from natural reason that the world is temporal. That's because they accepted the possibility of
1 minute.
infinitely
So
long.
so what's the delay? Give me the delay. What was the reason behind the delay? Explain it then.
That's a
I
crazy
already
shift.
explained the sense in that.
No, yeah,
Like, did you
Yeah.
see the shift from the
Yeah.
Thomas citation to
He's
this?
going back to what is the delay?
Yeah, so after this, it's just a repeat until the end where he leaves.
Gotcha. That's funny.
Yeah, and then at the end, I just explained what I mean by delay, which is yeah. So where yeah, right there, where the avatars go down is the end where I give the full explanation of how there's a delay. So if you just want to play, that's cool.
And I will definitely post this. Good conversation, brother. Thank you so much.
So, Avicen decided to end the debate early, right before I was about to restate my explanation and give my answer to his question. This is despite the fact that the initial implication of the question being asked is that he wanted me to answer it. He said that the abrupt stop was because the debate was at a non-optimal time for him. Regardless, this was still abrupt, which didn't allow me to answer, so I think it's best if I answer the question here. There is a duration and or delay only insofar as we are saying that the effect of God's creative act is temporal, whereas the willing itself has no such temporal property. That is, the universe as an effect has temporal properties signifying that it is not atemporal, whereas no such similar temporal property is predicated to the will. This scenario is sufficient for saying that there is a delay. Prior to this, I have already clarified that I'm using delay in a very specific sense here, such that saying there's a delay is appropriate in the case that an effect has some temporal property signifying temporal origin at a specific point in time, whilst this cause does not have a similar temporal property signifying that it caused at the same time as the effect occurred. Given that a scenario in which an effect has a temporal property signifying origin, whilst its cause has no temporal property signifying temporality at all, would fit this criteria, I'm justified in saying there is a delay and or duration in this specific sense. So, given the clear definition of terms that I'm using, what I said was justified and coherent. The argument that duration implies time doesn't prove anything contrary to what I believe, because I already affirmed time exists, given that I affirmed temporal properties apply to an object. It's just that the object is a created object and not the divine will. But no such argument was given to show that duration entails that the divine will specifically and the effect must have the same temporal properties. So this fails to show a contradiction in my model, and thus the objection to classical theism ultimately fails.
I am curious though, regarding Srox's point. Like, what is up with your mic that time?
Yeah, that's I was not in fact sitting in a plane. It was sitting next to a air purifier.
Oh, okay. Air purifier.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's also his Discord handle, by the way. But yeah.
True.
All right, Modern.
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay, but
No,
glad
it's
to have you
okay.
back.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you want to talk about today?
Yeah, just a question. Do you guys do this like every Saturday, or you planning to, or
Yeah,
something?
pretty much every week. Originally I tried doing every Friday, but then it sounds like correct me if I'm wrong, Roy, but we want to do like every Saturdays now.
Every Saturdays would probably be better.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
yeah,
good,
pretty
yeah.
much every Saturday. I don't understand this debate. Just go to the beginning.
Yeah. So, yeah, I see that I originally wanted to talk about something else, but I see that the debate is about like temporality and creation and, timelessness. And it looks like an interesting thing. Maybe we... Sorry?
Yeah,
I think that's
it's
you,
about
the echo.
yeah. It was about whether or not creation is eternal. It's about classical theism. I don't know how much you do philosophy though. So that's what it's about. If you wanted to ask questions about that, yeah, sure, I'll be willing to answer them.
Does
because
classical theism entail eternal creation?
that's a good question. That's a thing that I ask myself. I think that's a good issue. For example, like one could ask if God is eternal, right? He's existed like forever, and so he's immutable. So he has always had. I'm hearing a bit of echo, but okay. I'm gonna close the YouTube. Okay. God is eternal, and he has always had the ability and the desire to create eternally. So why isn't the universe like eternal as well? In a way, co-eternal with God. Why does the universe have like an age?
Yeah, so the way we'd answer that is that we'd make a distinction between like God's willing, which is outside of time and isn't in time, versus the effect of that willing, which is in time. So God wills that creation exists atemporally. It's just that the effect of that will is temporal.
But how could the effect be temporal if God is in a temporal state? Like the effect after the effect exists right now, the effect has a temporal component. The universe has time in it, like the first.
Well,
the effect happens in a temporal.
I just don't see why an atemporal entity can't have effects that are temporal. I think that would just be the issue there, that it's kind of a presupposition. I mean, even if we don't know like how specifically the mechanism works, there's no contradiction in it. So I'm like, I don't see an issue with it per se.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know what you mean, but I think it's more than not knowing the exact mechanism. It's like it being contrary to our intuition very much. And in fact, for example, when we are discussing like the first cause argument, right? When you look at the arguments for why the first cause has to be a mind, something with an intelligent, conscious agent, right? One of the reasons they say is, for example, when I say, what if there is a material cause? What they tell me is if there is a material thing and it's like eternal forever, and it will never do anything because it will be like a temporal, like one imagines that it will be like static and it will never change or cause anything, because if it's like eternal, obviously like forever stay that way, right? But when I think about it, it's like, how come the same doesn't apply to God? Because if he's eternal, he will always stay that way, like in the same way. It's like the same thing applies to him. If I just say, oh well, an atemporal material thing can cause a temporal effect, I don't see the problem in that. I'm not sure if I'm really resolving the issue, because that's the same. That's just what you just did.
Yeah, so I don't comments real quick. So like for context, Roy's the Thomist like philosophy nerd over here, but as far as like where I stand on this issue, like regarding whenever we say God is eternal, we're not necessarily saying that he has like he belongs to time axis and you can retroject that infinitely into the past. But it's more so like trying to describe his atemporality, if anything.
Yeah.
So we're not saying that like, we're not saying that God exists in time, but he just exists at all points in time, but rather God is outside of time. Right. But to like answer your point, I don't know if I would use that argument against the material creator. I don't think it's necessarily the most sound of arguments if you're representing it correctly. Because what we would say is that with the Thomistic first cause argument, right? The argument is really just based off of act and potency. And the issue is that anything material has potency, and the only way for something to have no potency is if it's immaterial. That's kind of what's it called?
Like, I know that.
Yeah, so that's the bigger issue. So the reason why God doesn't obviously fall into that is when we say God is immaterial, since an immaterial thing doesn't have to have potency, whereas a material thing does, there's no potency in God necessarily. So we can avoid that, whereas a material creator would have to have potency. And this goes back to like Aristotle with how matter is potency and form is actuality.
Yeah, I know this is another argument. This one is a bit more complicated, this version. I know Trenhor uses this argument. and it's like very complicated for me. I'm not quite done with analyzing the argument yet. I know that Joe Schmidt from Majesty of Reason has a response to that. It's very deep.
Yeah, he does. It's existential inertia. So this is because the first cause argument, as we use it, is gonna like it in a way. It depends on our metaphysics, right? Because we have a specific metaphysics and explanation of change that we use. That's going to involve act and potency, and it's going to involve what I just said about how matter is potency and form is actuality, right? So the issue is that with Joe Schmidt, the way he gets around it, if I remember correctly, is he just denies that metaphysical paradigm.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I was getting into is like, I know, for example, that the Kalam cosmological argument, for example, the way William Lane Craig makes it. Okay, let's say we have established that the universe has a cause, right? Why I think that the weakest link or the most difficult part of the argument, okay, how do you show that this is a mental and intelligent agent? And what he does is this argument. He says that if you had a material cause, a deterministic material cause, then you can see that the universe, if it can cause the universe, then the conditions for it causing the universe will always be there, will eternally be there. So the universe will have been eternal as well. That's like what he says. And he says that the only way around it is for the cause to have libertarian free will. And he says that this is the only way that you can get a temporal effect from a temporal cause. That's how he defines it. Have you heard of anything like this?
Yeah, so William Lane Craig would disagree with Thomas on our metaphysics and theory of God because he believes that God is temporal. So we wouldn't use this argument per se to like try and I guess to steel man where he's going. I think what he might be saying is that like material things, if you have something that isn't mental, then it's gonna act deterministically according to like the laws of physics, right?
Right.
So he's trying to say that like this is my assumption from what I'm hearing is that he's basically trying to say that like the universe is going to be determined if it's by a material cause, which kind of removes any ability for I guess you could say freedom.
He says that the material cause is going to be determined to cause the universe because the material.
Yeah.
And by the way, he says that God is atemporal before sans creating the universe, but temporal only after when
we would disagree with William Lane Craig. I don't know where Apollo stands, but yeah, I'd probably disagree with William Lane Craig on that. Honestly, if you want someone who's very, if you want to like you, it seems that you're like kind of just being introduced into like what's it called, the like Thomistic conception of God. There, I can like send you a couple of things to like help you get introduced to our position.
Sure. So let me ask you this: you say that a material thing has to have some potency, right? A potential for something, right? That's what you say.
Yeah. So this goes back to Aristotle, and how like matter just is potency, right? And then form is actuality, because he's a holomorphic theorist, and that's how he would account for substances, basically.
But what I don't know if there's an easy way to explain it. What is the justification for it? Like the material things have to have potency, you know?
Well, one way you could possibly justify it is by pointing out that whatever has parts has potency, because of the fact that, well, this goes back to, I forgot the exact name of the paradox, but do you know the paradox where it's like, in order to travel a finite distance, you must travel in an infinitely long, like
the arrow paradox, I think.
Yeah,
it's an arrow.
But Aristotle's solution to that was to say that if you the line that's finite, it's only potentially infinite, but it's not actually infinite. So you're not actually crossing an infinity. It's just that whenever you have something that's divisible, that thing has the potency to be infinitely divisible, but it's never actually divisible. So that was his solution. But the issue is that whatever has spatial extension now has the potency to be infinitely divisible. So that's one way you could argue that.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. maybe modern issues of Planck distance will resolve that, because then it will mean it will treat space as a discrete thing rather than a continuous.
So I think what you have to understand is a lot of Aristotle, what he's doing is he's obviously in a certain historical context, and he's responding to arguments against him, and that kind of influences the way he develops his metaphysics. And in fact, what you suggest, the whole Planck length, right? So Democritus thought that it wasn't infinitely divisible. That my mic got muted, but what he said is that if you just divide things up, eventually you'll hit like a rock bottom, and you'll get to an atom which is indivisible.
Yeah.
So that would be, now with the Planck length, if I remember correctly, that's just how that's the smallest distance we can measure. I'm pretty sure that you, like, hypothetically, right, it doesn't seem impossible to say like something is half a Planck length long. It's just that we wouldn't be able to measure it.
No, really, I don't know. I'm not sure about what exactly that is.
I'd have to look into the Planck length stuff before, but yeah, that seems to be like Democritus' solution.
Sure.
Aristotle also thought we don't hold to that. Yeah, we don't hold to that model. Exactly. Is Sean from trying to remember? Yeah, Planck length is my most meaningful distance. Yeah, because we have to measure it in order to know it. Is where did Sean did Sean come from? One of the servers? I forgot.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. I do have another issue with the argument this way. I don't know if it's my echo or you're saying something.
I can mute and see.
Oh, okay. Is the way Trent Hall starts making the argument is when he defines change as a potency becoming actuality, and that's how he defines change. But I'm not super happy with this definition, because, for example, I have one example. Let's say I have water, and I throw colorant on it, and I make the water purple. So many people will say that I changed the water, right? But water doesn't have the potential to be purple, right? Water normally has the potential to be steam or to be ice. Water doesn't have the potential to become a cloud, for example. So being purple wasn't a normal potential of water. I'm not sure if these potentials exist. That's one of Joe Smith's objections. The potential don't really exist. And for example, water didn't have the potential to become purple initially. And what Ten could say to that is at the end we have a mixture of water and color, and it's not really water, right? But I think in a normal language kind of way, one could still say that I changed the water. So I don't like this definition. The definition that I like is one that used by Andrew Locke in his debate with Graham Oppie. He says change is gaining or losing of properties. I think that's better, and that will change the argument.
Yeah, that's one way to account for change. I could say gaining or losing property. The issue is that, well, first of all, I don't think that can deal with Cambridge changes per se, because a Cambridge change is something that occurs when something gains and loses a predicate, but it itself does not undergo any intrinsic change. But with the potency thing, the water example, we would just say that the water does have the potential to be colored purple by that dye. It may not have that potential actualized that often, but the potential is there, because after all, it's just potential in the water.
Yeah. But then at some point it's if initially originally someone asked you, does water have the potential to become a color? I don't know. I think obviously not, or I don't know. I don't know. Originally, many people will say no, water doesn't have the potential to be purple, right? It's not. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you just color, as you said, if you color the water purple, it's clearly possible for it to be purple. Yep. So in that sense, yeah, it does have a potential. We have 6 or 7 jokes already starting in the chat. And, wow.
There's also an issue. Joe Smith says it's the potential for existing of a thing, that where things having Trent speaks about the potential for existence. If a thing doesn't exist, where and how does it make sense to call about the potential for existence? Where is this potential? If this is a property, this potential is a property, where is it? Because it cannot be in the thing if it doesn't exist yet. So is it in a realm of Platonic realm of potentials, or where is it? That's something that Joe Smith says.
If I remember correctly, is Joe Schmidt a anti-realist about potency, or is he just like agnostic? I don't know what specifically he is, because one of his arguments that he makes allows for potency realism. So I don't know where he stands. To answer that question, I guess you could just say that you could just say it's non-spatial. Perhaps that's one way of accounting for it. I probably have to look more into Joe Schmidt's model, because I'm not sure what he believes specifically.
Right. Yeah, that's saying that it's not some kind of potential realm, a Platonic. That sounds like a Platonic realm or potentials to me. Like it's not spatial, but it exists, right? You're saying that it exists, this potential does exist. For example, even if the thing doesn't exist, the potential for existing of a thing exists. Okay, where or or how does it exist? It's not in the property of the thing, right? So is there a realm of potentials, right?
I think that would, well, at most this would only apply to the potential to exist, but if there's an object that already exists, then this doesn't really apply to it. But if you you could just bite the bullet and say that it's immaterial, quite possibly. I'd have to look into how.
Yeah.
Well, I first have to look into how Joe Schmidt argues his point, because my guess is he probably has a response to the immaterial objection too.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I think that's all for now.
Mm-hmm. All right, that was a good.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, Jay. By the way, does Jay have any questions? Because he's been sitting there.
Oh no, I've just been listening, dude.
Okay.
No, right now,
Jay is
nothing,
one of my friends,
that's,
by the way. Modern atheism.
Yeah.
He's one of my friends in real life. He knows me in real life too, like my secret identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like-
Yeah. So Apollos isn't my real name; it's a fake name.
So okay.
Yeah.
I don't got really
okay.
anything related to the topic right now. But
Yeah.
unless you guys want to change topics.
Honestly, just ask for whatever. I mean, we should be fine with whatever comes up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's
All right.
that's
If I
think it's
had a-
backwards, by the way. For you.
Is it?
the text is the
I got
Live
you.
los.
You're gonna summon something.
no the text is still wrong.
Yeah, the
There you
text
go.
that
How about that?
Live Jason
Live
reactions.
Jason.
Oh,
There it is.
Anyways, but let's see. I never understood the idea of like. I guess I understand like the Trinity, right? Like obviously 3 persons, 1 God, right? But like, what I don't know how to explain to a Muslim how God could be 3 persons but 1 God. I'm confused about
Yeah,
that. I guess the metaphysical part.
It depends on their objection specifically. Are they saying it's tritheism explicitly, or are they just saying it doesn't?
I would
I
say-
guess usually that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I would say the same. It doesn't make sense. You cannot have mentally be one being. I mean, unless you want to say that the word God for you is the name you want to give to the group of 3 divine beings. Okay, but that's silly. Then if that's the case, the 4 of us are unfortunately, right? But I don't see the unifying thing. You're saying that a conscious being is somehow 3 persons, the conscious being, but also at the same time 1. But that seems really absurd to me. Like it's not possible. It just, I mean, how could it be possible? It's just too weird, right?
So when it comes to the Muslim thing, I guess you could say that like with a lot of them, they'll say things like, so do you know, like, do you have a knowledge on Tawheed and like how they account for the attributes?
Yeah. Where it's how like Allah.
Yeah,
has,
so
like,
with some
2
of them,
hands and
especially
all
like
that.
the Salafis, they'll say stuff like, Allah has the attribute of a hand, but we just don't know how that works, right? Or they'll say, Allah has a hand and this is a literal hand, but we just don't know how.
You're muted.
I'm
All
still
good.
here.
It's
Yeah,
all
it looks
good.
like Roy kind of cut out. Rip.
No, so it's the fact that God is so we just go to the idea that God is like cannot be comprehended, right? I usually go to that too, but I don't know. I guess it just doesn't feel suffice like sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
So that's
I would say
the thing.
Yeah, like at least for me, like what I like to do is just go to the because a lot of the times besides the coherence objection, the other objection they'd bring up is like the deity of Christ is not exactly explicit in the biblical text.
All right.
And, like,
I love us.
Bust down.
yeah, I like to.
Hey, how we doing?
What's up? Bust down. And I like
Okay,
to
yeah.
appeal to the idea that Christ seems to make very explicit entailments that would entail like his divinity, whether they be explicit or not.
Is my mic working now?
Yeah, your mic's working now.
Okay. So, anyways, what I'm saying is that they have this idea that at least some of them, that there's a certain mystery to Allah's attributes, and if they draw a real distinction between the attributes and the essence, then they've introduced a multiplicity of attributes. So even they have to accept a multiplicity in some sense. We're just saying it's in fact, they're in a worse place than us, because this is an absolute multiplicity, whereas we only introduce a relative one.
Yeah, good point.
Now
there.
I guess you could say, well, what happened after like my thing cut out? Because I don't know the context anymore.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember.
Okay. So like wait, modern atheism, can you restate the objection? Because honestly, I forgot what you said because I was trying to answer Jay's thing.
What I want? Again,
I think modern atheism was saying like in what, correct me if I'm wrong, modern atheism, but it seems like your objection is like saying if we can say that one name applies to the three persons, what prevents us from saying we're united in this like esoteric sense?
Yeah.
Like,
What I say, like, what do you mean one person, three persons, one God? I mean, are you saying that unless you say that God is the name you give to the group of three persons, but that's trivial, okay? Like, what is a God? What is a person? You have to define this very exactly. And I think if you define this very exactly, you will reach at some point some problem.
Yeah, well, that's it.
yeah, I think.
Oh, we would just say that when we say that each of the persons are God, we're just identifying them with the divine essence because we believe in divine simplicity. So when we say like when we say God, we're referring to the divine essence, which each of the three persons are identical to.
By the way, I think this violates that means they're identical to each other. This violates the transitivity of identity. You know?
Yeah, so we would just deny the transitivity of identity in this context because we draw a virtual distinction between the person and the essence, and then we say that because these three things are relative entities which are opposed from each other, that therefore they are necessarily distinct. Whereas transitivity doesn't necessarily hold when you have the relative entities being identified with an absolute entity. It's like for example, Aristotle gives an example of this with how if you have like a road between two cities, there's two relative entities identified with the road, but they're distinct from each other.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Did you saw the debate in Capturing Christianity with that philosopher and
Yes.
Gallican? Yeah, I saw that too. I actually am planning to make a stream with, maybe I'm trying to get Metaphysics Mind into my channel to make a big stream on the Trinity. I think my opinion is that this identity paradoxes and relative issues of identity, they feel more like word games rather than logical issues. Because, for example, it's like the road from Athens to Thebes. You see, it's not identical to the road between Thebes and Athens, but in a way, yeah, it's obviously like the same road. But I think this is just
it has to do with the idea of subsistent relations, because we say that the road from Thebes to Athens is identified with the road between, and then the road from Athens to Thebes is also identified with the road between. But because they're two relative entities, right? Because they oppose each other, as one is downhill and the other is uphill, so they would be opposed in that sense. Considered as relation, they would be distinct, but considered as absolute being, they would be identified. And I can what's his name? I'm trying to remember the guy who talks about this in his paper. There's this good paper. Oh yeah, it's Mark Spencer's paper, on the Trinity and divine simplicity, that talks about this, and he gives this analogy.
Yeah, I think this is like a bit like word games that exploit the vagueness of language to make a point, but they don't really, like, for example, there is this paradox: when does a pile become a pile? If I start taking grains out from it, like, I'm not really sure it's a logical issue, because I think if there is that's an issue of language. If we change the word trajectory instead of rod, then suddenly the paradox disappears if we are specific enough. So it's not really a logical issue in the end. It's just like a language issue. I don't think there's a big problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think the paradox disappears because if you just change the word road, the trajectory from the two cities would be identified with the trajectory
No, it
between.
will be different. The
two.
trajectory from Athens to Thebes is different because in the trajectory is defined by a starting point and an end point. That's the definition of trajectory. You can't define it this way, so it will be different. It will stop being identical. The road is a physical
say
thing.
that they're identified insofar as they're identified with the absolute being, though, even in that sense. I don't see how this can be caused by a confusion in terms, because I think, like, Thomas specifically and what's it called? Aristotle as well would define their terms pretty well. They give very, like, specific definitions. Like, if you look at like, we have entire, like, just books dedicated to like giving specific philosophical definitions. Like there's Thomistic philosophy in 4 volume. There's the Sacra Theologiae Summa, which goes all into this.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you like, even if we don't want to use the relative versus absolute distinction, there's still examples in which transitivity is violated. So I don't think Thomas Shensky brought this up, but there's identity over time where I think transitivity doesn't hold. Yeah. And then there's Chris Tweed's example of opaque contexts in which it's denied as well. So I think those 3 would be very interesting examples to talk about if you want to go there.
Yeah, I think again, identity over time, it is ultimately a language issue. It's like am identical to me 1 year ago? Obviously not. Something could have changed. I have different properties, but I am me. Like am I Juan? Yeah, because Juan is like the name you give to that. But I would say this is a language game issue, even though the guys disagree.
Well,
I think this ultimately a language.
It is both about semantics and logic, but those 2 aren't unrelated. So in this case, yeah, there's a semantic issue. I can affirm that, but at the end of the day, it's still a logical issue because let's say you want to index it at the time. So like Juan at T1, let's just say Juan at T1 is 5 years old, but then Juan at T2 is 10 years old, right? You would have to say that those 2 are the same person, but they're still not the same age. And there doesn't seem to be a transitivity there with the age.
It is if you just define one exactly enough, then it is. As for example, the guy who has my DNA. Then okay, only looking at that the way, we ignoring the fact that my hair can have my DNA or stuff like that. I mean, just hypothetically, if you define then Juan as the guy who has my DNA, now you can say Juan at this T has an age, Juan has this other age. You may know what I mean? Like I think it's more a language. I don't really see it's a logical issue there. I disagree.
I still think that the logical issue remains though, because if you have if you just define Juan as the thing with your DNA, there's still a thing with your DNA at multiple locations in time, and we would say that's identified with you, and yet that still has different properties over time, meaning that there's no transitivity of identity there. Because if like Juan at T1 is 5 and Juan at T2 is identical to Juan at T1, then if transitivity works, then you would say Juan at T2 is 5. So, and this works even if you're defining Juan as someone with your specific DNA code, because both of them would have your DNA.
Yeah, but what I would say is the me at 5 years ago, it has one of his properties is to be Juan, but it's not like, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, I know what you're getting at. It's not like fully specify all of his properties. I don't know.
I can agree that one of his properties is having your DNA and thus being you. It's just that he's also identified with you. So in terms of identity, we could say Juan at T1 equals Juan at T2. And I don't think there's a very good account of theories of time that does not entail that, because I think all of them, they would basically fail any intuitive test that we could give them. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Because the The Thomist account is that identity of time is basic. So that's how we would account for it. We wouldn't really say there's some special mechanism. We would just bite the bullet and say that, yeah, Juan at T1 is equal to Juan at T2, and they differ in properties. It's just not a contradiction or an issue because they are at different times. Or you could say it's because they're virtually distinct, which I'm not sure. Busdown, what are your thoughts on that solution?
What's the particular solution?
Suppose you want to say that a person at, so let's say you have Juan, and then this person exists at 2 temporal locations. So you can say Juan at T1 and Juan at T2. Would you say that those 2 are virtually distinct from each other, or is it only a nominal distinction?
I think you could say that they're possibly very short distinct.
Okay. Yeah. So then, yeah, that would just be another example of virtual distinction, I guess.
Yeah. Sure. But okay, I think the problem will remain because for the Trinity, we can still ask the question, like at any given time, like without looking at the future or the past, at any given time, are the beings of the Trinity identical with each other, right? And you still have the issue, right? I mean, I guess your example would show that in a general sense, identity has like some flexibility to it, right? Like some issues that where it cannot be, it doesn't have to be exactly like transitivity, you know? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the point of that example was just to show a case where transitivity is violated in the created order. And we're allowed to make this violation like epistemically because it's justified by our intuitions. Now, in the case of the Trinity, I don't think our intuitions would lead us to the conclusion that transitivity applies. I think they would lead us against it. And you can look at how, for example, people approach Mysterianism and God, and how the Mysterian idea of, oh, we just don't know, but because God transcends the created order, it works. That seems to be the very intuitive solution amongst, I'd say at least most Christians, but even like a lot of atheists I've talked to have like said, yeah, that seems to be intuitive enough.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, okay, but okay. You know, I actually had a logical argument against the Trinity looking at essence and accidents. If you want to look at it, for example, it's very simple. Do you agree that I think with the Aristotelian notion that a thing either had essence or accidents? Do you agree with that? Like these are the two possible properties. Like it had properties that are of its essence and properties that are accidents. Do you agree with that?
Are you gonna? I think I might know where you're going with that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say that God has no accident, right? So
are you gonna say that the hypostatic properties, since they're not essential, they have to be accidental?
Right, but God is but the divine, like, because what I hear is that all three beings have the same essence, right? That's what I hear. And what I also hear is that God has no accidents because divine simplicity. Then how could they have distinct properties if they have the same essence, like no accidents? Then they're identical. They cannot differentiate themselves in anything.
The hypostatic properties, we would say that the hypostatic properties themselves are identified with the essence. This is because when we speak of hypostatic properties that individuate the persons, we're speaking about relations. So we would say that these relations aren't accidents, but rather they're identified with the essence itself.
Okay, but then they don't have, all three beings don't have the same essence. If each being has if one being has a property of his essence is to be the son, the other has the property of being, if that's part of his essence, then you cannot say that all three beings.
We don't say that the essence in itself considered absolutely is like begotten or spirates. Rather, we say that these subsistent relations are things identified with the essence.
Right. Yeah, I know. I'm not sure I get it, but the thing is, what I hear is three persons with the same essence. Do you agree? They say that the three beings have the same essence. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
But is our relation, is being begotten is this property of being begotten part of his essence, or is it an accident?
You cut out there. You cut out.
Yeah. Really okay. Is being begotten a property that is part of the essence, or that is an accident? Because it's either one of the two. A property is one of the two. It's essence or accident.
I don't know if I would use the language of property of. I would go with the claim that it's identified with the essence rather than being a property of the essence.
Being so begotten is not a property.
We would say that it's a it's not a property of the essence, but rather it's a relation that is identified with it. So we would say it's a third option.
Okay, I don't know, but it seems intuitively obvious to me that it still counts as a property. Like if it's
yeah, it does. A relation is a property, or can be, I guess. A relation can be a property. We wouldn't deny that. It's just that in this case, it's a subsistent relation that's identified with a substance. So it's different from how a relation would work usually, because in Aristotle, you can have or I guess in Thomistic metaphysics as a whole, relations are typically accidents, but there are cases where relations can be identified with the substance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so what's a
Yeah, and,
relation? Okay.
a relation would be like a reference to another. So like paternity would be like how the son, or I'm sorry, the father begets the son. So that's a relation of paternity. And we would say that relation is so in our view, right, we would say that the persons just are subsistent relations and that are identified with the essence. So
Right.
for us, the category of person, right, it doesn't exclude the category of relation, meaning that something can be a relation and yet subsistent.
What does subsistent mean?
Basically, when we say something is a hypostasis or a person, we're saying that it's subsistent, and when we say it's a person specifically, we're saying that it's subsistent and of a rational nature. So yeah.
So what subsisting like to exist?
Not necessarily to exist, because there are things that exist yet aren't hypostasis. But if you want like an example, right? So we would say something like a hand. A hand is not a subsistence, but a rock is. And similarly, a person is a subsistence, but the person's hand, which is a part of the person, wouldn't be a subsistence. So there's a degree of, I guess you could say, ontological fullness or wholeness that is required. If you look at how Thomas Aquinas describes it, he says that if something has its own essay, then it should count as a subsistence, whereas things like hands don't have their own essay and are communicated to another, in which case they don't count as subsistence. Say that the relations here, because they have their own essay via identification with the divine essay, we would say that therefore they count as subsistences.
Okay. But here's the thing. Can we really say that the only thing differentiating one person of the Trinity from another is the relationship? Because it will be like there are three identical beings, but they choose to relate each other. But I mean, it just there has to be some properties that account for this difference in relationship. Is how I see it. Like relationship by themselves, they are not a property, like an essential property, you know.
We would say in this case that the relations aren't properties of the essence specifically, but I mean, you're right that the thing that distinguishes the three persons is just their relations. I wouldn't say it's three beings that choose to be related to each other. Rather, I would say it's one being that has three relations identified with it. I think that's a more proper way to categorize it.
Right. So you have the relationship with other beings.
No, not with other beings, but one person has a relation with other persons.
Okay.
Because we would say that, for example, right, the father is a person who begets the son, and this relation of opposition distinguishes the two. However, we would say considered as God or considered as absolute being, there's no distinction. So one way to put it is that they're distinct in their SA odd, but not in their SAN, which would be
so the son is identical to the father, except in the relationship, or otherwise the son is identical to the father.
We say that there's no distinction considered absolutely. So one way to put it is with relative identity, where you're saying the father and the son are the same being, but not the same person. So there's an identity relative to a sortal, but not relative to another sortal, which would be how modern day analytic philosophers categorize this.
Right. I mean, so I will have to ask, what's a being? What would be your definition of a being?
That is kind of hard because I don't think being is in a genus per se. So I guess you could say, loosely speaking, a being would be that which exists. Like that's a very loose definition, I know. So
but but there's it's like a conscious being. Like this cup is not a being, you know, it's an object. I think the word being refers to like conscious being, like no, but the way we normally use it.
Yeah, we would say that what's it called? The divine essence is conscious, and that the three persons have the same consciousness.
Okay, the same consciousness. Because I have other Christians saying that they have three separate consciousness.
Yeah, no, those people would be going against
They're going against Orthodox teaching.
Oh, really?
Those are social Trinitarians, and they're going against Orthodox Trinitarianism.
Yeah, so the Son has two minds after the incarnation, one human and one divine. But when it comes to the three persons, they each share one divine mind. and one divine will.
Okay, then I don't see in which and what's a person, because I don't see because you see how could you define
we would
person in a way that like makes sense.
Yeah, so we would say that a person would be an individual subsistence that is
So,
of a rational
of
nature.
a rational nature. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Individual, a
So
substance.
we would say it's a subsistence. The issue with substance is that it can get a bit confusing because people like to equivocate on that, which me and Bust Down saw that recently, but I'm not going to comment on that too much.
Right.
But with yeah.
Do not bring up the assumed man right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah, this is not very complicated and a lot of, but to me, I would say that a substance of a rational nature. So a thing that thinks, is and a conscious being is the same. So when you look at it, it's like you have the same reservation for person and being. I don't a conscious being. I don't know. It's too weird for me. But whatever.
When we so when we say individual subsistence, right? So as I described, right, subsistence refers to being like a hypostasis. So if something subsists, it's a hypostasis, and then if something is rational, then it's a person. So as I gave this example before, we would say that something like if you find a rock on the sea, this rock would be like it would be its own being, right? We could say it's a supposit, which is just Latin for hypostasis. However, it wouldn't be a person because it's not rational. But then if we take like a hand, because the hand is part of a person and communicated to that person, the hand isn't going to be a hypostasis. And so, for example, Thomas Aquinas talks about how a hand, despite being an individual substance, doesn't count as a hypostasis because it's communicable. And what we're looking for when we speak of personhood is this notion of incommunicability. So for Scotus, this is going to be a relation, whereas for St. Thomas, this is going to be having your own essay. So that's what for us would be used to define a person. And I think the issue that you have is that you're defining a person just as a consciousness, right?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, what's a person? I know what a person is. A person. You are a person. I am a person. Okay, that's the definition I have of person, right? But obviously in the Trinity, there's another definition.
Yeah. So for our definition, we would describe it in terms of subsistence or being a hypostasis, right? So it's just the hypostasis that's rational. But the issue, I guess, we could say that we would find with the that definition of person is that for us, we draw a distinction between a person and that person's consciousness. So for example, for us, a person is going to be a composite of a consciousness or a soul and of body. So it's going to be body plus soul equals a person. Whereas under your view, the person is just going to be identical to the intellect in a way.
No, I get that. That we have a body, right? That's the issue.
Yeah. So I guess one way you could like argue this is to say that the body is part of a person, right? And since the person and the soul are two absolute identities or two absolute beings, that if the person and the soul were one and the same thing, then you should be able to say that the body is part of the soul. But clearly the body isn't part of the intellect, although you're a physicalist, so I'm not sure how you would handle that. But I think that even under a physicalist, you can make an argument because I think no matter, like, I think you're going to, even if you're a substance dualist or a physicalist, you're not going to be able to say that the person is just the intellect and that's it. Like, I don't think you can say the person is just the consciousness, because I think the person has to be composed of consciousness and like corporeal parts when you're talking about human persons. And this is relevant because this means that the consciousness is just a or I could say your intellect is the how do I say it? It's the tool by which a person reasons, but it's not identical to the person itself. So we're saying that the three persons of the Trinity have one and the same tool that they use to reason. It's just that they wouldn't be the same considered as relation.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. That's not really complicated. Yeah. One day, yeah, maybe I will talk to Metaphysics Mike and show him all of this to see what he says. By the way, Apollos, is it okay if I post this in my channel as well, where we with commentary, the way like people do it in YouTube, like to generate content? What I mean?
So you're asking if you can take this content and post it to your channel, or what?
Yeah. Maybe I will split. Yeah. That's basically the question.
Okay.
Like our conversation, of course.
I don't mind as long as like you're not like taking us out of context or like
no.
I know you seem to be a very good debater, so I don't think you're gonna do that. But just in like general, I'm fine as long as you're not like clipping us out of context.
Yeah, same here. Like let me know if you I don't know if you have my email, but feel free to shoot an email if you need like access to like a download. If you don't have any like downloading software to download a YouTube video, let me know.
No, I can record the screen or so. Yeah. No, that's okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
If you, I think it might be useful if I like send you some stuff on like the Thomistic view of like metaphysics and their Trinity. Hold on, let me see if I can.
Maybe I will try to get with Metaphysics Mike. You know, this Unitarian guy, and maybe we'll talk.
I know Metaphysics Mike. I can't lie. I don't know So the issue that I have with Metaphysics Mike is that he debates Trinitarians that don't focus on philosophy, and then he just brings up like philosophical objections, which to someone who to someone who like looks into philosophy, they don't sound that strong. Like for example, if you were to put like Metaphysics Mike against like I don't know, like Christian Wagner, and like he was to try and like run the arguments that he does, I cannot lie, it would go like horrendously for him. And so like I can't lie, the only reason why he's able to get away with it is because he's going against people who don't like focus on philosophy specifically. It's like it would be interesting to see him debate like Wagner, or like if he went on a Capturing Christianity debate Dr. Tomaszewski. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Or I mean, he can always like since we're doing this every Saturday, I think if he called on here, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah.
If he did like if you want to do like a philosophical debate.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but yeah, so if you want to look into like Thomism, right? I would just say that you should probably go to Thomistic Institute. That's their channel. They give like a good introduction to like Thomistic metaphysics. Then there's a Sanctus Theology. So Sanctus Theology on YouTube. There's Classical Theist, Matoma, Militant Thomist, also known as Scholastic Answers or Christian Wagner, DoorDash Thomist, DeWong, Unionist Initiative. Those would be pretty good channels to learn like I guess you could say our metaphysics from. If you want like a written material, I can pull that up in a second. Hold on. Yep. If you want a written material, obviously there's a Thomas Joseph White's book on Thomistic Christology, and I believe he has one on the Trinity too, if I remember correctly. So if you want like an introduction to like to explain our view on the Trinity, like how we think there's one mind and one will, Thomas Joseph White would be a pretty good introduction to that.
Okay, cool. That's great.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, then there's obviously that Mark Spencer paper that I talked about. I can go and find it. Hold on.
Okay.
It is it's called it's his 2017 paper called "The Flexibility of Divine Simplicity: Aquinas, Scotus, and Palamos," and he goes into Thomas Aquinas' solution. He goes into John Duns Scotus's views as well, so that might be interesting to you as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Then there's there's one article by Christopher Tweed called "Absolute Identity and the Trinity," which he covers the transitivity objection like very directly. There, he gives I think it's a new solution. I don't think anyone has really interacted with it that much, so it might be interesting to see some interaction with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
but
nice.
for me, like, I'm super glad to have someone like Roy, like, steel manning like the philosophical positions for the Trinity, because I'm more of like a textual guy or like a historical like apologist, if you will, and just like basically goes like, hey, like most Christians don't even understand the Trinity, but it's very clear that these three persons should be ascribed divinity, and in some sense they're one, and so like, yeah, like whatever model of the Trinity it is, like. I mean, like, I think, like, it's a very important doctrine in terms of, like, trying to classify who's, like, in the church or out of the church, but in terms of salvation, like, yeah, I this might be a hot take, and I've said it before, but I do think that people who mislabeled modalism for the Trinity are saved, so, yeah.
Interesting. I'm kind of in an interesting place, because Bust Down would probably be more knowledgeable than me on like Thomistic philosophy, and then Apollos would probably know more about me on like textual stuff. But then like I'm somewhere in the middle, so I can do both, but they're probably going to be better than me at it.
Yeah, yeah. I also
Thomas
like more like.
says yo.
Yeah.
Oh, Thomas, what's good? Yo, Thomas, you should come up on the panel. That'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. I also prefer the textual stuff, like the kind of stuff that Apologia does, because this philosophical stuff is too complicated for me. This is really hard. You know, it's very hard to get.
That's understandable. Yeah, so a lot of people just don't like the philosophical stuff. I can understand.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Thomas Apologia would be interesting because he actually disagrees with me on Thomism, because I'd take a very Thomist view on like divine simplicity, but then he wouldn't agree with me on that because he became a neoclassical theist. Very what's it called? It's a very he's probably better than me when it comes to like classical theism stuff. Honestly, he probably would know more than me despite not being one anymore. I wonder like how I converse. Yeah, he's an ex-Thomist. Nah, bro, you gotta just become a Thomist. Like your name is Thomas Apologia anyways. It's like in your name.
True.
True. Make Thomas Apologia Thomist again.
Yeah.
Extra Thomisticum Salus.
True, true.
Yeah, but I don't know how much gas you guys got in terms of like the stream. It looks like we've been going on for like an hour and a half, so like
this was a good conversation. I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Thomas the Doubter.
Yeah, that's funny. Doubting Thomas. All right, but did we want to close out the stream, or did we want to like wait around for like 5 or 10 minutes or something? Wait for like someone else to come in, or not taking?
Is there anybody
objections,
else like in the back?
I don't see anyone in the back, but like what we can do is like sort of like share our channels and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
All right then, bet. Start off with modern atheism. But yeah, modern. Do you have any like projects you're working on as of late? Anything you want to?
No, well, not really. But you know, I am having Richard Kerner on the channel like in a month.
Okay. Did
you already
have him on at one point?
I had him once. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
There he is. It became my most popular video. It's like, yeah, and he's coming again in October. Like on the so that's cool.
Interesting.
Gotcha. And then we have Logos. What about you, man? You got anything, Roy?
Yeah, we're working on like the same things. We're gonna actually. There was a debate that happened today on Inspiring Philosophy's Discord that we're gonna record and upload today. So that's gonna be interesting. So far, we're working on a video on textual criticism. I have a video introducing logic that is gonna be coming out eventually. It's like 50 minutes long. I can't lie. I feel like a lot of people like the textual stuff. So what's it called? The logic one is just going to be purely like on analytic philosophy. So I don't know how much they're going to like that, but I'm going to make it anyways because it seems useful. We do have a video. Actually, there's a video that's related to this discussion. If you go down all the way to, it's the first video ever. Modern atheism. You might want to check that out too. If you go all the way down, refuting, because
well, that's good.
Yeah, although that's a really old one, so the production and the audio and like the visuals may not be as good as we have them today.
Yeah, but that looks good. Yeah. Okay, I'll check it out.
All right. I'm just trying to go to my Patreon right now. There it is. Let me reshare my screen to be the entire screen. Stop screen. But yeah, guys, consider like joining the Patreon. I don't have any like paid Patreons yet. But once I do have like paid Patreons, I'll start putting out paid Patreon content out there for early access and the benefits accordingly, like content creator partnership and whatever. So share screen, entire screen.
Do you get any visibility from?
Yeah, Paul's Christian Apologetics.
Yeah.
Yes, and then these are the different perks for each Patreon membership. So yeah, I'll drop that link in the YouTube description, and yeah, I mean, any final words, guys?
I think this was a good conversation. I think
Yeah.
we should do another one Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll
I
definitely.
We should.
I have a question to Apollos. Do you get any visibility when you do notice any benefits for doing modern day debates? Like when you appear on it, does that get you some followers? Or is like any benefit for your channel from doing that? Because I was thinking maybe to do that, but I don't see if it's not going to grow my channel. I don't see. It's just a time waste. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, so I would say that it does bring in home a good amount of subscribers. So for each modern day debate, I probably get 20.
Oh, it's good. That's okay. Yeah.
That's all right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
But it's not anything explosive where your watch time all increases or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's just been my experience. I think it's also good to establish relationships with other content creators.
Yeah.
And just putting yourself out there and say hey, I've done this list of events, and would you consider having me on your platform and things like that. So
yeah,
that's true. Speaking of which, you should see if you can for the call-in streams, if you want to do one with I don't know how many people you know per se. See if you can get Big John Steele to do one with us on, or maybe even God Logic. Although God Logic, I don't know if he'd have us on. Well, it would be interesting because God Logic does stuff prove the Trinity is wrong or whatever, and it'll be interesting to have me on doing the philosophical stuff.
Yeah, for sure. How can you get Richard Carrier to refute the case for resurrection if he doesn't believe Jesus existed? That's true.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
he accepts this for for the sake of the argument, let's agree it was historical, and he refutes the minimal facts argument for Gary Habermas. But he can also do argument for the sake of the argument, let's do these debates. He also does these kind of things. It's not just mythicism.
Interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
I think he just concedes that Jesus exists just for the purpose of discussion, and then from there argues that even if you concede that, not much entails.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know Magalocos is primarily Roy's thing. Bust down, Jay, did you guys have anything to share or not?
I mean, I have a Substack at Maronite Scholastic. I have one project I'm working on now. I mainly do Catholic cosmetics, but currently working on the Divine Maternity of Our Lady. So just her role as the Mother of God, and then I'm going to start moving into the other one, to the other dogmas the Immaculate Conception, the Assumption, etc.
Gotcha. Let's see over here. Chrome tab. Is this the right one? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's me.
All right, bad. Yeah, I just typed in Maronite Scholastic, and that's the first thing that popped up.
Yeah, that's it.
If I'm not mistaken, both me and Roy are in the future probably at some point going to make a video.
Perpetual virginity video.
Perpetual virginity. I already have my whole article and everything.
Yeah, we basically have a script on it.
Gotcha.
We just have to have someone reading it out, and then or we just have to reformat it, so instead of it being an essay, it's a video script.
Gotcha. Roy, are you? I know you're Protestant, but do you believe in the perpetual virginity yourself?
Yeah, all the reformers did. It's not. That's the historical view. Yeah.
Gotcha. Just curious. Okay, then. Yeah, Jason. Did you have anything? I know last time you said you didn't really have anything, but.
Man, I've been eyeing this donut on my desk for the past 25 minutes, bro. I didn't want to take a bite during a debate, but it's just been sitting here. But I ain't got nothing to share, really.
We would have.
Because I didn't. I didn't want y'all to be.
We would have had the live Jason reaction with the donut.
I didn't want y'all to be talking all crazy, and I just go and take a big bite out of this halfway through.
Hey, man, I got popcorn, so.
I feel so fat. Yeah. I came upstairs and I got me a glass of milk and the donut. I swore I was going downstairs for water. It was just sitting there, bro. Why did y'all? None of y'all ate anything. Y'all didn't make me like feel less.
We got the thing for modern atheism.
Yeah.
Can you show it again?
I don't know. If there's like anything else.
Chips too. I was eating also before that. I was watching Thunderbolts in Disney Plus.
Gotcha. Cool. All right.
If we, there's not. Yeah. There's like one more thing we can promote, I guess.
What would that
It's just
be?
like the the Discord. That's
right.
Because that's kind of like, yeah, we always announce all of our projects, or like streams on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and let's see here.
We also play like games a lot there. Like low key, like whenever we get footage for like a video, like you know how we started putting zombies gameplay in the background. We'll just like start doing it on we'll just like hop and call and like record it.
Yeah, I also had that idea because I saw Redeem Sumer makes this kind of thing and they are popular. Maybe I was thinking maybe someday I will try playing something. As I told, maybe this will be more entertaining or something.
Yeah, it's because the TikTok brain, you know, that attitude.
I mean, I'll watch it. I know for a fact I'll be watching that, so it's up to y'all.
Yeah, you just like put Minecraft gameplay. I mean, to be honest though, you have to be like if the clips are flashy in the background, if they're too flashy, it might take away because it just has to be like busy work that they're looking at while they're listening. If it's too flashy, then it might take away too much what's it called? Attention from the video itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about y'all. I would genuinely love a Minecraft stream. Like if we don't hop into a world and just start from survival and do something and just answer questions along the way. I don't know about y'all, but I would be learning during that. That's just me though.
If honestly, Let's Plays take too long though. Like we do not have enough time to do like a full Let's Play, bro. We'd end up like it'll be like the 2-week phase where like we just speedrun it and then dip. Or like for I guess me and Bust Down, we'd probably end up just fighting the Ender Dragon in like the first hour or two, I guess.
Oh come on, there's got to be something. Unless you guys want to hop on Steam and just do like I don't know a repo.
We do. We
whatever.
play Bed Wars on Hypixel a lot. That's where we usually get our Minecraft footage from.
Yeah, there's got to be something else, something more long term, or something that doesn't have like a definitive end. I feel like those would be the type of streams that I tune into more often.
Really?
Gotcha.
I think we just kind of have to keep on doing these call-in ones until we get new people besides you and Modern Atheism.
Yeah.
Because last time
maybe
we got
modern
a few, but...
maybe you Modern Atheism can like share it with like your friends or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down. I have a lot of people who have been like wondering these questions. So yeah, sure. I don't know why I haven't done that already. Actually, yeah. So I'll send the stream. I'll send the channel out.
Gotcha. All right, and with that, we'll close out the stream. This is at your boy Apollo signing out, boys. Peace. End stream.
See ya.
You made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell for more content. Got questions or ideas? Drop them in the comments below. Until then, next time, thanks for watching. This is at your boy Apollo signing out. Peace.